You see one on the wall. Long, spindly legs, tiny body, just sitting there, and your first instinct is to grab a shoe. Stop. I know it looks creepy. I know every part of your brain is telling you to squash it and move on, but the thing sitting in the corner of your room right now is doing something for you that you have absolutely no idea about. And the moment you kill it, you lose that. Most people think daddy longlegs are just another spider, something to get rid of, something that doesn't belong in your house. But almost everything most people believe about them is wrong. They aren't what you think they are. They aren't doing what you think they're doing. And they are not the enemy. Subscribe to Garden Wildlife Mind if you're new. And stay until Chapter 5, because that one reveals something about daddy longlegs that most people genuinely cannot believe when they first hear it. Chapter 1. They're not even spiders. Here's the first thing almost everyone gets wrong. Daddy longlegs are not spiders. They look like spiders. They have 8 legs. They live in corners and dark places the same way spiders do. But they belong to a completely different group of animals called harvestmen, and the differences between them and actual spiders are significant. True spiders have 2 main body sections, a head area and an abdomen separated by a narrow waist. Daddy longlegs have just one fused body section, no waist, no separation, just one small oval shape with 8 extremely long legs coming out of it. Spiders have fangs designed for biting and venom glands. Most daddy longlegs have neither. They can't bite you in any meaningful way. They produce no venom. They are physically incapable of harming you. Spiders spin webs. Daddy longlegs don't. They have no silk glands. They don't trap prey in webs. They hunt and move in completely different ways. You've probably heard the rumor that daddy longlegs are the most venomous spider in the world, but their fangs are too small to pierce human skin. That story has been repeated so many times that most people just accept it as fact. It isn't true. It's one of the most persistent myths in the insect world, and it has been specifically tested and debunked. They have no venom to speak of. The fang myth is simply not real. The animal in the corner of your room is not the creature most people think it is, and that changes everything about why you should leave it alone. Chapter 2. What? It's actually doing in your house. Daddy longlegs don't wander into your house by accident. They came for something specific. They are hunters, small, quiet, patient hunters that feed on things you genuinely don't want in your home. Mites, fungus gnats, small insects, dead organic matter that would otherwise sit and rot in corners and wall gaps. Some species will even eat other spiders, including ones that are actually dangerous. Think about what's already living in your home that you don't know about. Mites, too small to see with the naked eye, moving through carpets and furniture. Fungus gnats breeding in damp soil from houseplants. Small flies and insects finding their way in through gaps in windows and doors. You never see most of this because it's happening at a scale below what your eyes catch. The daddy longlegs in your house sees all of it, and it's eating it. It isn't there because it wants to bother you. It isn't there because it chose your house as a place to be annoying. It followed food, and the food it followed is the exact kind of small, invisible pest problem that would quietly get worse if nothing was eating it. Every daddy longlegs you leave alone is doing a small but real pest control job in your home. Not in a dramatic way, not in a way you'd ever notice, but consistently, quietly, every single night, while you're asleep and unaware, it's clearing out things that have no business being in your living space. Chapter 3. The legs that save its life. Those extremely long legs aren't just for show. They are one of the most clever survival tools in the entire animal world. When a daddy longlegs is grabbed by a predator, a bird, a larger spider, a lizard, the captured leg detaches, just drops off. The daddy longlegs escapes while the predator is left holding a single twitching leg. Here's the part that makes this more interesting. The detached leg doesn't stop moving for several minutes after it separates from the body. It keeps twitching and jerking on its own, which distracts the predator long enough for the daddy longlegs to get away. The leg is essentially a decoy that moves by itself. This process is called autonomy, voluntary limb loss, And daddy longlegs do it without hesitation. They don't have to be in extreme danger. If the leg is grabbed firmly, it goes. The body survives. The predator is confused by a twitching leg that seems to have a life of its own. The cost of losing a leg is real, though. Daddy longlegs that lose too many legs become less effective at moving, hunting, and surviving. Researchers studying harvestmen populations have found that many adults in the wild are missing one or more legs, which gives you an idea of how regularly this escape mechanism gets used. So if you've ever seen a daddy longlegs with fewer than 8 legs and thought something was wrong with it, nothing is wrong with it. It simply survived something. Chapter 4. The Myth That Won't Die. Almost everyone has heard it. Daddy longlegs are the most venomous creature in the world, but their mouths are too small to bite through human skin. It gets passed around like a fact. Teachers say it, parents say it, friends say it with complete confidence. It feels true because it sounds specific enough to be real. It isn't true. It was directly tested. A television program specifically investigated this claim by having a daddy longlegs bite a willing volunteer on the soft skin of the inner arm, the thinnest, most penetrable skin on the human body. The result was a very mild, very brief, barely there sensation that faded almost immediately. The venom, and the small amount produced had essentially no effect. But, more importantly, the specific species most people call daddy longlegs in the United Kingdom and across much of the world are harvestmen, and harvestmen have no venom glands at all. The myth most likely got started by being confused with cellar spiders, which do produce a small amount of venom, are sometimes also called daddy longlegs in certain regions, and do have mouths capable of breaking skin, but still pose no real threat to humans. The creature that's been scaring people for generations. The one that inspired a persistent global myth about deadly venom, produces no venom worth mentioning and cannot hurt you in any meaningful way. The fear was never based on anything real. And once you know that, the animal in the corner looks very different. Chapter 5. What happens to your house when they're gone? Here's the part that genuinely surprises people. When daddy longlegs disappear from a space, the things they were eating don't disappear. They stay. And without anything hunting them, they grow. Mite populations in homes without any natural predators can increase significantly over time. Fungus gnats that breed in houseplant soil multiply faster when nothing is picking off the adults. Small insects that find their way inside in summer have fewer things working against them. The ecosystem inside your home is not as sterile as you think it is, and the daddy longlegs is one of the things keeping it in balance. This is the part nobody thinks about when they grab the shoe. They think about the spider. That isn't a spider on the wall. They don't think about what was on the menu for that spider tonight or what happens to those things tomorrow when the hunter is gone. Pest control as an industry exists because homes without natural pest management develop problems. The daddy longlegs you kill today isn't replaced by another daddy longlegs overnight. That corner doesn't automatically fill with a new one. You've just removed something that was quietly doing a job, and the things it was doing that job on are still there. The animal that looks like the last thing you'd want in your house is one of the more useful things that can be in your house, and the decision to kill it takes about 1 second. The consequences of that decision are invisible, gradual, and ongoing. Chapter 6. They're only here for a short time. One more thing worth knowing about the daddy longlegs in your home. It probably doesn't have long. Most daddy longlegs live for about a year, and adult individuals, the ones you actually see walking around, are only adults for a small portion of that time. In cooler climates, the adults you see in late summer and autumn are often in the final weeks of their lives. They hatched in spring or early summer, spent months as juveniles you never noticed, grew into adults, and are now doing their job in whatever space they found their way into. The one on your wall isn't planning to stay forever. It isn't going to multiply into hundreds overnight. It's one animal in one place doing one quiet job for whatever time it has left. There's something a little strange about that when you sit with it. Something that has spent most of its life invisible, that causes no harm, that has been quietly eating things you didn't want in your home, and that will be gone on its own in a matter of weeks. The one decision most people make, reach for the shoe, is made in about 1 second, with no information, toward something that was never actually a threat. You don't have to like it. You don't have to want it near you, but knowing what it actually is changes the decision. Chapter 7. What you're actually looking at. So the next time you see one on your wall, here's what you're actually looking at. Not a spider. Not a venomous threat. Not something that belongs outside and wandered in by mistake. An ancient group of animals that have been living alongside humans for longer than most recorded history. A creature that can lose a leg and survive. An animal that eats what you don't want in your home, makes no web, causes no harm, and will be gone on its own before long. The shoe is still an option. Nobody is stopping you. But you now know what you'd be killing, and why it was there, and what it was doing for you without ever being asked. Most people go their entire lives without knowing any of that. You know now. The daddy Longlegs in your house is not what most people think it is. It never was. It's just that the story got told wrong and nobody questioned it. Tell me in the comments, have you ever killed one and now feel slightly bad about it, or have you always left them alone? I read every single one. I'll see you in the next one.